There's something about the English air that just inspires great prog rock. So we're two huge Rush fans and we've got tickets to see the band for the first time live next year, and in this run-up we're doing this series called Road to Rush, where we go through every single Rush album, one per week, and share our thoughts. This time it was the band's 5th studio album, A Farewell to Kings. What did you think?
For me, it was the most immersive so far.
Yeah.
As listed, I was taken away, rightly so.
Yeah.
You know, the volumes of stuff when it was quiet was perfect, so you weren't distracted, and ideal for me.
I'll tell you what's interesting about it, this was the first of 2 consecutive Rush albums to be recorded here in the UK.
Which one? Was your man's?
At Rockfield in Wales, the same studio as Bohemian Rhapsody, a bunch of legendary 70s albums. And I think there's something in the air because they wrote this and Hemispheres while they were in Wales. There's something about the English air that just inspires great prog rock. Geddy Lee was particularly excited to visit Advision Studios to mix the album because that's where Yes and Emerson, Lake and Palmer had recorded. So that's sweet, isn't it? That's very sweet.
I think this one sort of actually did smooth, like was quite smooth, like a UK prog album.
Yeah.
And it drifted really well through. It wasn't fits and starts and silly little quiet bits. It all went very well.
Yeah, for me, this was the first one that felt like an album. It peaked and troughed at exactly the right moments, all the way through. There were little bits where the dynamics went up and went down, and it was just the right amount of time, like about 35, 36 minutes. You know, it came by in a flash, and by the time you got to the end, you thought, fucking hell, I'll have that again.
A good sort of ratio to poppy bits. And,
I will say there are quite a few bits on this album that sound like they may have been borrowed from other songs. There's a little bit in the title track, Farewell to Kings, where they've gone ding, 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 and it's like Tony Banks had agreed to come in for that day and do a keyboard solo for him, and then he just not turned up, so they'd done this bit like the cinema show, and then he just not showed up.
Yeah, and Xanadu, where they've obviously got the name from ABBA inspired.
Yeah. And do you know what, when Xanadu kicked in, when that guitar had kicked in, I thought, fucking hell, it sounds like our mate Al playing Sweet Child of Mine when he's drunk.
Yeah. I mean, the intro to Xanadu was perfect.
Yeah.
It was like you had 2 intros almost. The singing was like the least important bit of the track, you know.
Yeah. It's not until 5 minutes in that song where we get any vocals. That's impressive.
It doesn't feel that long. It really doesn't.
And again, there were some unexpected bangers. Cinderella Man.
So I was going to mention that, but purely for the fact of that middle section is so simply creative and sort of beautiful almost, and it really does let you sit back a bit. You know, it's quite good.
So what was really weird for me is that I'm quite familiar with Hemispheres, the album after. The album ends with Cygnus X Book 1, which is the prequel song to the opener of Hemispheres. And I don't think it lived up to the hype. You know, knowing what part 2 sounds like and how epic it is, it felt like it ended. It got to the end and I had to look at my phone and I thought, what, is it actually finished?
Yeah, in fact, because 100%. Obviously, phones move on to the next track, don't they?
Yeah,
and it did move on to Hemispheres. This is the same world.
Yeah. Once again, I think the bit, you know, Geddy Lee's got mini moog now. That first bit where the mini moog comes in Farewell to Kings and Neil Peart doubles it with a tubular bell. I was like, fucking hell, this is it. We've arrived at Rush here, folks.
Again, it's an appropriate amount of synth all the way. They probably could have got away with a bit more. But it was, still ideal. And again, the staccato thing, they've got a bit of a staccato vibe as they get older. And I think here you can really hear the gelling, throughout the parts, especially Timey Boys, bloody hell. I
think again this was the first one where it's just a great prog rock album.
And I think very underrated.
Yeah.
I've only heard Sean say it. And it's because he used to put Xanadu on the pub, and then he'd go for a wee, stand at the bar, and then go. And
then it'd still be on.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
What was your favourite track of the album?
Cinderella Man. To be fair, it was going to be Xanadu for it, and then I listened again. Thought, no, this deserves more. For almost a bit 10cc-ish almost at times.
So for me, it was the title track, Farewell to Kings. I think there was just the whole concept of the song. How are we going to be remembered in the future? I just think that's such a great idea, isn't it? Like how it mirrors the album cover.
I was a bit worried, just obviously like Dodge Your Book and all that.
Yeah.
But from the title of the album, I was worried it was going to be one of these medievally type things again, and
But it toes a fine line between having some of that stuff in there, but also just being sort of generally relatable lyrics. Like you could listen to a Farewell to Kings without the medieval slant, and you could still think, oh, it's a really interesting song about humanity and life and all that stuff and rebirth. I think once again the playing on this album, we've had a quantum leap, in terms of what they are playing and how competently it's played.
Bloody loud at times. Like it was very proper in your face.
A lot of complex meter changes in Farewell to Kings. Speeds up and slows down, and they just owned it. And again, it just feels like the next step forward from 2112.
And just perfect as always.
What are you giving Farewell to Kings out of 10?
It's a bloody high one. I know we're going into decimals all the time, but a good 8.7.
An 8.7.
Yeah, just purely just because this is it. The fire started.
Yeah,
and you sort of know that this is where it's going to be, but for atmosphere and taking you away, it was perfect.
I'm giving it a 9 out of 10.
Right,
I think this is my favourite so far.
I'd say the same.
And again, it just had this fire to it that the other albums didn't have. There were important moments on the other albums that I did really enjoy, but again, like that's the first time the mini mode came in on Farewell to Kings. That was when the 9 out of 10 solidified in my head before I'd even heard the rest of the album. I was able to recognise this is Rush. This is what I like. All the things I love about 80s Rush. Yeah. This is it. This is where it begins.
So much more depth because of the the synths and so on.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So next week we've got Hemispheres. Are you familiar with that album at all?
Just from listening through of your, but yes, no.
Mentioned like 4 different prog bands there.
I know.
It's one of the ones it was my first one, so I'm really looking forward to going back to it in the sequence.
You wanted me to engage with it more than I did at the time. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, but the thing is, listening to it in sequence, I'm really excited to see how it stacks up.
Of course,
I blasted myself with Farewell to Kings.
Very good.
What's your favourite moment on Rush's Farewell to Kings? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching.